How Romans stockpiled food for 6-month sieges. Imagine you're trapped inside a city. No one comes in, no one goes out. The enemy surrounds you on all sides, waiting for you to starve. How long could you survive? For the Romans, this wasn't a hypothetical question, it was reality, and they had it figured out. Roman cities regularly endured sieges lasting 6 months or longer, and they didn't just survive, they thrived. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what the Romans stockpiled, how they stored it, and how you can use their 2,000-year-old strategy to build a 6-month food supply in your modern apartment for under $200. Let's see what the greatest preppers in history can teach us. The Romans didn't prep for sieges because they were paranoid. They did it because sieges were a fact of life. Whether you were a soldier in a frontier fort or a civilian in a border city, you knew that at any moment, an enemy army could show up and cut you off from the outside world. And here's the thing, Roman sieges weren't quick. The siege of Alesia lasted 2 months, the siege of Masada, 7 months, the siege of Carthage during the Third Punic War, 3 years. So the Romans developed a system, a standardized approach to food storage that was so effective, it became military doctrine. Every fort, every city, every garrison followed the same principles. And what's fascinating is that these principles aren't complicated. They didn't have freeze dryers or vacuum sealers. They didn't have refrigeration. They worked with simple, cheap, shelf-stable foods and smart storage methods. The same things that work in your apartment today. The Roman military had a saying, an army marches on its stomach, and they knew exactly what that stomach needed. Roman siege preparedness came down to 7 core foods. These weren't luxury items. These were the basics that kept an empire alive. Number 1, grain, primarily wheat and barley. This was the foundation of everything. Romans consumed about 2 pounds of grain per person per day, mostly as bread, porridge, or a thick grain mash called poles. Number 2, dried legumes, lentils, chickpeas, and broad beans. High in protein, last forever, and add variety to that endless grain diet. Number 3, olive oil. Romans used this for everything. Cooking, lighting lamps, medicine, even hygiene. It was liquid gold, and it stored beautifully. Number 4, wine and vinegar. Wine was safer than water. The alcohol killed bacteria. Vinegar preserved other foods and had medicinal uses. Number 5, preserved meats. Salted pork, dried fish, and garum. That fermented fish sauce Romans were obsessed with. Number 6, honey, the only sweetener that lasts indefinitely. Romans used it as food, medicine, and a preservative. Number 7, salt, so valuable that Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in it. That's where we get the word salary. Salt preserved food, seasoned everything, and was essential for survival. 7 foods, that's it. With these 7 categories, Romans could outlast any siege. Now let's talk about how they stored them. The Romans were engineering geniuses, and nowhere is that more obvious than in their food storage. Grain storage. Romans built massive horea, granaries with raised floors to prevent moisture and rodent damage. Air circulated underneath, keeping everything dry. Grain was stored in large clay vessels called dolia. Think giant terracotta pots sunken into the ground for temperature stability. In a military fort, they'd have enough grain to feed the entire garrison for a year. Not 6 months, a year. Because they knew that even after a siege ended, supply lines might take months to reestablish. Amphorae for liquids. Those distinctive 2-handled clay jars weren't just for decoration. They were perfect for storing olive oil, wine, and vinegar. The narrow opening minimized air exposure. The clay kept contents cool, and they stacked efficiently in storage rooms. Romans would seal amphorae with cork, wax, or pitch to make them airtight. Some amphorae found in shipwrecks still had preserved contents after 2,000 years underwater. Salt and preservation. Meat was layered in salt in ceramic containers. Fish was dried in the sun or preserved in brine. The garum, fermented fish sauce, was stored in sealed amphorae and actually improved with age, like wine. Honey storage, clay pots, sealed tight. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that's still perfectly edible. Romans knew this and treated honey like the immortal food it is. Now here's what matters for you. Every single one of these storage principles works in a modern apartment. You don't need a massive granary. You need the same principles. Keep it dry, keep it dark, keep it cool, keep it sealed. Let's talk about how you do this today. Okay, so you're not a Roman soldier in Germania. You're in a modern apartment, but the principles, they're identical. Let me show you how to build a 6-month food supply using Roman strategy for under $200. Grain, your foundation. Romans relied on wheat and barley. You'll use rice, pasta, oats, and flour. White rice, 25-pound bag, $15 to $20. Stores for 30 years in a sealed container. That's 100 servings right there. Pasta, 10 pounds of various pasta shapes, $10 to $15. Lasts 2+ years easily. Longer if vacuum sealed. Oats, 10-pound bag, $8 to $12. Breakfast sorted. Flour, 20 pounds, $10 to $15. For bread, just like the Romans. Total grain budget, approximately $50 to $60. Romans stored grain in clay vessels. You'll use food-grade plastic buckets with gamma-seal lids, or even just large airtight containers from a restaurant supply store. Add an oxygen absorber packet, and you've just recreated a Roman dolium in your closet. Legumes, your protein. Romans ate lentils and beans daily, so will you. Dried beans, 10 pounds mixed varieties, pinto, black, kidney, $10 to $15. Lentils, 5 pounds, $5 to $8. Chickpeas, 5 pounds, $5 to $8. Total legume budget, approximately $25. Store these in airtight containers, cool and dry. They'll last 10+ years. The Romans were right. Legumes are siege food royalty. Olive oil, your fat source. Romans used olive oil for everything. You will too. Olive oil, 2 to 3 large bottles, 3 liters total, $25 to $30. Store in a dark cabinet. Keeps 2+ years unopened, longer if you rotate stock. Use it for cooking, salad dressing, even as a survival lamp fuel if you're feeling Roman. Vinegar, your preservative. Romans drank vinegar mixed with water, pasca, and used it to preserve food. White vinegar, 2 gallons, $6 to $8. Apple cider vinegar, 1 gallon, $5 to $8. Total, approximately $13. Vinegar lasts indefinitely. Use it for cooking, cleaning, preserving vegetables, and yes, mix with water as a survival drink if you need electrolytes. Preserved protein. Romans had salted pork and dried fish. You'll use modern equivalents. Canned tuna salmon, 24 cans, $20 to $25. Canned chicken, 12 cans, $15 to $20. Peanut butter, 4 large jars, $15 to $20. Canned beans, protein backup, 24 cans, $15 to $20. Total, approximately $70. Store in a cool, dark place. Rotate every 2 to 3 years. Romans would have killed for canned tuna. Honey, your sweetener. Romans knew honey never expires. So do you. Honey, 5 pounds, $15 to $20. Store at room temperature. Will crystallize but never go bad. Stir into oatmeal. Use as medicine. Spread on bread. Just like a Roman soldier. Salt, your preserver. Salt, 10 pounds, $5 to $8. Iodized for nutrition. Bulk for preserving. Lasts forever. Total cost, $180 to $210. For under $200, you just build a Roman-style 6-month food supply in your apartment. Now, having the food isn't enough. Romans didn't just pile grain in a corner and hope for the best. They had systems. Romans built Herrea on high ground, away from water sources that could flood. You'll do the same. Avoid storing food under sinks, near hot water heaters, or anywhere damp. Best storage spots in an apartment. Bedroom closets, temperature stable, dark. Under beds, use shallow bins for canned goods. Kitchen cabinets, upper shelves for oils and vinegar. Hall closets, bulk grains in buckets. Romans elevated grain storage to prevent moisture and pests. You'll do the same. Keep buckets and containers off the floor. Use wire shelving or wooden pallets. Temperature control. Romans built thick-walled granaries to maintain stable temperatures. Your apartment probably isn't thick-walled Roman concrete, but you can still manage temperature. Store food in the coolest, darkest parts of your home. Avoid exterior walls in summer. Keep buckets away from heating vents. Rodent and pest prevention. Romans used raised floors and sealed containers. You'll use airtight containers with gasket seals. For bulk grain storage, add a bay leaf to each container. It naturally repels grain weevils. Romans did this too, though they used different herbs. Organization and rotation. Romans marked amphorae with the year and contents using stamps. You'll use masking tape and a marker. Label everything: date purchased, expiration date, if any. Contents. Use the first in, first out principle. Put new items in the back, pull from the front. Your 6-month supply gradually rotates through normal use. Container recommendations. Think like a Roman. What would last? Food-grade 5-gallon buckets with gamma lids for grains, $5 to $10 each. Glass jars for smaller quantities, like Roman amphorae. Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for long-term grain storage, very Roman in concept. Original packaging for canned goods, it's already sealed. Romans would have loved modern food-grade plastic, but the principles remain: airtight, dry, dark, cool. Here's where Roman practicality really shines. They didn't stockpile food to stare at it, they ate it. Daily Roman rations for a soldier: 2 pounds of grain, bread or porridge, a handful of legumes, olive oil, salt, occasional meat or fish, wine or vinegar water. That's about 3,000 to 3,500 calories per day of hard physical labor fuel. Your modern meals from Roman staples: breakfast, oatmeal with honey, pure Roman. Peanut butter on homemade bread. Lunch, rice and beans with olive oil. Tuna pasta salad. Dinner, lentil soup with vegetables, chickpea stew with bread, rice with canned chicken and herbs. These aren't gourmet meals, but they're nutritious, filling, and they'll keep you alive for 6 months without setting foot in a grocery store. Romans didn't complain about monotony. They understood that survival isn't about variety. It's about calories, protein, and not starving. Add a multivitamin to your stockpile, $10, and you've covered nutritional bases. Water note: Romans stored wine because water was dangerous. Your tap water is usually safe, but store some anyway. 1 gallon per person per day minimum. For 6 months, that's 180 gallons per person. Rotate every 6 to 12 months. Use water storage containers, $15 to $30 for 5-gallon jugs, or clean 2-liter soda bottles. Romans would have considered clean water on demand the greatest luxury imaginable. Don't take it for granted. So why are we looking at what Romans did 2,000 years ago? Because they figured out something essential. Survival isn't complicated. Romans conquered half the known world not because they had fancy gear or high-tech solutions. They succeeded because they understood the basics and executed them flawlessly. 7 simple foods: smart storage, discipline. In our modern world, we overthink preparedness. We buy expensive freeze-dried meals at $15 per serving. We stock up on MREs that cost $10 each. We convince ourselves we need specialized survival food. The Romans would laugh at us. A 25-pound bag of rice costs $20 and feeds 1 person for months. That's Roman thinking. The modern siege. Now, you're probably not worried about a literal siege, but modern emergencies look different. Job loss? Your income is cut off, but your pantry feeds you for 6 months while you find work. Natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods disrupt supply chains. Economic uncertainty. Food prices spike, but you're insulated. Pandemic lockdowns, we just lived through this one. The Romans prepared for the sieges they knew were coming. You prepare for the emergencies you know are possible. And here's the beautiful part. This isn't just emergency food sitting in your closet. This is your actual pantry. You rotate through it, cook with it, live off it. The Romans didn't have emergency grain separate from regular grain. It was all the same supply. You're not building a bunker. You're building a buffer. The psychology of preparedness. Romans slept well during sieges because they knew they had supplies. There's something powerful about that. In uncertain times, knowing you have 6 months of food in your apartment provides genuine peace of mind. Not paranoid stockpiling, rational preparedness. You're not hoping the government delivers aid. You're not panicking at empty grocery shelves. You're calm because you planned ahead. That's Roman-level thinking. 2,000 years ago, Roman soldiers stood on city walls, surrounded by enemies, and didn't worry about starving. They had grain in the horea, oil in the amphorae, and salt in the stores. Today, you can have that same security in a 500-square-foot apartment for under $200. 7 food categories, smart storage, 6 months of peace of mind. The Romans didn't prep because they were afraid. They prepped because they were smart. And you can do the same thing starting today. Here's your action plan. This week, buy the grains: rice, pasta, oats, flour. That's your foundation. $50 to $60 investment. Next week, add the legumes and canned protein at another $50. Week 3, oils, vinegar, honey, salt. Final $50 to $60. 3 weeks, 3 shopping trips, and you're done. Store it smart, label it clearly, rotate through it naturally. You'll have done what the Romans did. Prepared for uncertainty without fear or paranoia. If this video helped you, leave a comment. What historical culture should I cover next? Vikings, medieval Europeans, ancient Egyptians? Let me know. And if you want more practical preparedness using ancient wisdom, subscribe to The Prepared Past. We're bringing 2,000 years of survival knowledge into your modern life. The Romans prepared for sieges. You're preparing for life.